Tonight on Killing Eve, Villanelle is feeling the pressure. We're talking psychopath. Villanelle and Eve's love is killing each other or themselves. And it's Cinco de Mayo, not April 1st, but Villanelle's got jokes. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, this is the after show for Killing Eve. Can't believe we're already on episode 5.
Yeah.
Does it even feel like that? It's just been flying by, but I think in the best way because we're loving this season so much. I'm Haley J. To my left is Delia and Erika.
What's up, guys?
Are you guys ready to dive right into this? We have a lot to uncover in this episode. The first main things that I kind of noticed were Villanelle is essentially a psychopath, so they're saying, but we're seeing a more human side to her more than ever within the last episode a little bit and a lot in this episode. Eve and Villanelle are racing to the kill, basically, so we don't know if they want to take each other out. The suspense, you guys know, is pun intended, killing me. And, of course, now they're working together, so this is going to open up a whole new can of worms of these two powerful women. What can they do when they come and join forces? And, of course, we've got our special segment, Women of the Week. Are we going to choose a positive role model, or are we going to the dark side? You guys will have to wait and see for that. Talk about a tease with that one. First of all, what are our overall thoughts of the episode?
I was loving the sexual tension in this episode. It was a lot to take on. I was like, okay, I feel it. It's getting
Dramatic
steamy.
music gets you going.
Definitely getting steamy between these two.
Yeah, it was really, it was a lot going on. I was totally surprised that they sort of brought Villanelle in to advise them. So I guess, like, you can just come and walk away from murder. So, okay, whatever works. And, but yeah, so it was an interesting, I think, sort of chained up of events, but it was a very packed episode that I enjoyed.
My main takeaways, I think at the end of the episode, I was just thinking, how does Villanelle look so good in that pantsuit? Because I just don't think it would have come across the same way if I were to wear something like that.
Great.
She rocks every single look, which makes it more fun for the viewers, I think, I think it's fun to see what she's going to wear and showing more of her personality,
Definitely.
and her twisted mind and the way it works. And then I was picking up on some of the quotes in this particular episode where them saying no guts, no glory was a big one, because it's like if you don't follow through, you're never going to see what could happen. So it's kind of like symbolizing like ripping off the Band-Aid and doing things you don't want to do. In this case, maybe, committing murder. It's fine.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
might have other ideas of ripping off the Band-Aid in less dramatic ways, but of course, in this episode, it was all about, are they going to kill each other?
Yeah.
And then the line that Villanelle says to Nico about you look like a mustache on fudge. I'm like, who are these writers and who made that line and why do I want to kind of use that on somebody?
It's so good. I love it.
And then his reaction is just, what? Like, that's probably the first time he's ever heard that, but those stuck out to me about this episode. I just love the mix of humor, like we've talked about before, of how like such a really dark plot can be so funny and lighthearted at the same time. I think the writers are really smart with how they incorporate that at the same time. But to get right into kind of our first topic of this episode was how we saw this more human side to Villanelle. She even brings in Tony, the guy who works at the hotel, and I thought she was going to kill him for a second. Did you guys think that at all?
Oh, yeah.
I always just think she's going to kill everyone that comes in.
Because they lead you on to like thinking that they like
Yeah.
close the door and you're just like, what's
Well, no,
gonna happen?
I didn't, because she also sleeps with people. I thought she was
That's
gonna
true.
sleep with them.
That's true. That's a good point.
So she sometimes has sex with these like random people.
Maybe she would have had sex with him and then killed him.
Yeah, because, there's been a few episodes where she's just like randomly sleeping with people.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of, I was like, oh, she's going to get a hookup. But
I almost thought when he was rubbing her head, I was
Softer.
thinking that he was going to like maybe take it down the body. And I was like, oh, is she going to kill him if he tries that? But I did think that was just those little moments in the episode really do tell us a lot about the way she's feeling right now. And she even says out loud, I'm grieving.
Yeah.
Right.
So this brings me to the whole concept of we see them going over what a psychopath is in this episode. And I actually looked this up because I'm like, what's the actual definition? And this was a quick Google search. So this is what it said on the little Google search. But it says it's a disorder characterized by persistent antisocial behavior. It's impaired empathy and remorse, bold and disinhibited and egotistical traits. And it could be similar to sociopathy. Did I say sociopathy right?
I'm going to say you did.
I know.
Because I honestly don't.
So based on this pretty lengthy definition that I just gave, do we think that Villanelle could be a sociopath, or we just think she's been a little bumped and bruised on her way to developing her?
I would say she is a
frontal
sociopath.
cortex, prefrontal
Yeah, I
cortex.
mean, like the fact that what they said, what was one of the things of egotistical. Well, definitely, I think
We see that.
Yeah, her saying I'm expensive and all these things are like she knows she needs to be the it girl, and the fact that she has no remorse when she kills other people. The only thing I do see her have connection with is Eve and caring about Eve. But even with Eve, she'll play with her. Like when she gave her the pills, she's still playing with her. Like Eve is actually thinking she's gonna die, but she's laughing the whole time.
Did you guys fall into that trap at all? Because I really did for a
did.
second think
Yeah.
that it was
For a
poison.
second, I did.
Yeah.
I think for a second, I did.
She got me.
Yeah.
Villanelle
So we
definitely
know she's a great actress too. That's
Yeah.
probably another trait of a sociopath, being able to
because she gets
put on this
pleasure.
role.
Yeah, from your
it's
from your
honestly,
pain.
like fun. It's a twisted game for her. But I just think in the way that we see her with Eve, and then we know she's felt that way before in her life. That's why I'm questioning. Would we, if you had to pick yes or no, would you say psychopath?
I would go with yes for now.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
go with yes too, because I think when the doctor came and spoke to them, he was like, instead of thinking of a normal person, think of all these things that you take away. And I think that that's valid. Like there are certain things where she does kill and actually gets enjoyment from killing. She gets, she does have all these other things going on. She seems to have an attachment to Eve and also an attachment to Constantine, but she also was able to, in her mind, kill him. And she probably theoretically will come to a point where she feels like she can kill
Yeah.
Eve too. So yeah,
And the
I would-
attachment's kind of like also obsessive.
Right.
It's not like a normal attachment.
true.
It's also
That's true.
obsessive. You know who I'm questioning though? Eve. Like that's who
Absolutely.
I'm questioning. Like, or is she gonna turn to a psychopath? Kind of like I'm like
we're gonna get to that.
oh,
Trust me. This episode did little tiny hints here and there.
Definitely.
But that was actually an interesting thing that I kind of noticed as we see Villanelle kind of show this lighter side. We're seeing Eve do the dark side, where it's like maybe that mirror opposite image thing that we keep going back to.
Right.
And Eve is not exactly playing it coy with her obsession here, because her team is noticing. And especially when they showed the slideshow and they had the two pictures of the bloody, gory image, which didn't affect Eve, but she was affected by Villanelle's face. So what does that tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that she didn't even flinch at the fact of the bloody. And I think when the guy who's speaking to Carolyn, he didn't mention and raise awareness about the fact that he thought Eve is not okay. In the whole episode, they're asking, are you okay? I'm like, we are not okay. Like, what is happening in this episode? But yeah, it's like, oh, what's happening in that brain of hers? Because it's getting dark. It's definitely getting dark.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but then I think in most sort of, murder mysteries or whatever, the cop or whatever, they do see this darkness in themselves. That's how they're able to catch the person. So the only reason why she really understands Villanelle the way she does is because there is some darkness within her, I believe.
I wonder if we're going to be like lesbian Bonnie and Clyde at the end of this. Just like,
That is a really good point.
Velma and Louise.
Erica, you do make a really good point with that, because it's kind of like takes one to know one
Yeah.
principle, where
Right.
you know those characteristics because something inside of you, and even, shout out to all the podcasts out there, that's what they were saying in a podcast I was listening to, saying that you recognize things in other people because there is some part of you that holds on to that within yourself. Whether you want to admit it's there or not, you can recognize it.
it's a
'Cause it
reflection.
has to be there.
Exactly, because in order to really catch the criminal, you have to put yourself in their shoes and
Right.
to some extent think like they think to see what their next move is going to be. And I feel like the people who are the best at that, it has to be because there's something within them that makes them able to even think like that, I would think.
It makes me think that it would be a really hard struggle of staying true to who you are when you're constantly kind of putting yourself inside someone else's brain. And I guess being in LA, even actors do things like that. Do you guys think it would be hard to always remember who I am at the end of the day if you're constantly kind of altering the way you think to fit someone else's brain?
Oh, definitely. I think there's going to be a meeting point where the other person and you meet, and that's kind of like your new truth or your new person.
Which is what we're kind of seeing with Eve now.
because I think so much influence and you're constantly in that mindset, it's definitely going to take personal effects and show consequences.
Yeah, and then I think the reverse. Like, I think that she's not changing her mindset. I think this is who she is, and before she's been faking it. So I think
Okay.
some of this is, it's more revealing of who she is as opposed to changing who she is. 'Cause I think this is really who Eve always was.
Yeah.
She just kind of played the role with Nico or acted all nice and stuff at work. But I think that's, we discussed this last week about her taking this job because she wanted to be bored. That might have been part of it, but she probably is definitely intrigued by murder and,
this inner battle with who she wants to be and who she actually is. And those are two really interesting theories. You kind of see it as more of a developing into who she is, and you see it as peeling back the layers of, no, this was always there, and now she's finding.
Which is interesting because I think Carolyn, this episode kind of dropped a lot of hints about like her being like I believe it was the Oz.
Yeah, Carolyn got creepy with that.
That thing about the shoes.
Thought she was gonna be the one to kill someone.
Yeah,
in that
but it felt
scene.
like I almost felt like she's kind of training Eve to be an assassin, because when we saw them two together with her and Constantine in the car, and the fact that she was like, this doesn't seem stable and all these things are going to fall on me, and just like the glass slipper or like the
good
ruby
foreshadowing with that.
slippers, and I was like, why is she calling herself
too
like
smart to not have a plan.
Yeah, she
You're
definitely has some sort of plan, so I'm wondering what that plan is. But after this I was like, is she trying to make Eve a serial killer?
Seeing her work with Constantine, something that was actually in one of my predictions, that we're gonna see a lot of that develop, and the writers did it so perfectly to only give us a small taste of it. We didn't see it. We didn't see any more than just our minds letting us speculate what could become of that, but they gave us just a little tease. I definitely think we're gonna see more of that. But what do we think of Villanelle leaving Eve the flowers? Because that was such a quick thing. They didn't really touch on that too much. And it's always, even at the school, she leaves the apple. She'll leave things here and there. So this isn't her nature. But what do we think the significance of the flowers necessarily was? And this episode being called Smell You Later, and her saying it to Nico at the end, all these things linked together. So what are our thoughts on that one?
Well, it's always, flowers can either be like romantic, or they can signify like funerals.
Right.
So
and then in
so
the deleted scene, which I don't know if you guys at home were able to catch this, they were showing that the woman in the flower shop was saying, "I'm so sorry." So kind of giving us that clue that it was for something bad.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's like an end of the Eve that we know.
Oh,
so
you're good with that
I was
stuff.
like, maybe
Yes.
it's like the end of Eve as we know her to be right now.
Or mourning.
So that's how I took it. I was like,
mourning good girl Eve.
Yeah.
'cause bad girl is coming.
Yeah. That's how I saw it. But I'm curious to see what you guys think.
And why does it make me kind of excited that she could be this bad girl? What do you guys want? Do you want her to stay Sweet Eve, or do we want to see her kind of be this Bonnie and Clyde couple vibe?
I mean, I want her to be true to her characters. I don't think that, anyone should live or be in a relationship or whatever where they can't, be who they are really meant to be.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah, and I felt like last time when Nico was asking her to come back and, come back to who she was, I don't know if Eve can, because I don't know if she's always been sweet, like how you said. I don't know if she's truly been a sweet girl, or she's just been hiding it and putting up a face.
Like you can only do it for so long
Exactly.
before it eventually all crumbles down on you, kind of like.
So I have to say I'm with Erika on that one. Yeah.
So I was gonna say kind of like how Carolyn was saying it all is gonna come tumbling down. Maybe we're seeing that in bits and pieces of all of these rooms. I'm starting to think like you a little bit. But we want to know what you guys are thinking about, and of course, feedback helps. So Delia, you've got a message for everyone.
Yes.
listening.
So you guys, we just want to say thank you so much for checking in with us every week. We love that you guys love the show. If you're listening to us on iTunes, make sure you like and subscribe and let us know what you're thinking. Honestly, we love the comments. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, make sure to give us a 5-star rating. It really does help us out, and we really enjoy being part of this panel and talking all things Killing Eve, because it is intense.
That's one way to put it.
It is a killer episode.
Oh, killer episode. And moving right along with the whole "are they gonna kill each other" thing.
Yeah.
I knew they wouldn't, because I knew, they're not going to kill each other. We have 3 episodes left, which can we believe that we only have 3 episodes left, by the way.
Yeah.
But I knew that they weren't going to kill each other. So for the first time, probably in this whole season, I was like, okay, I know she's not going to kill her, but I thought maybe like a little jab here and there could have happened. And I've been waiting this whole time for them to come face to face. And I don't know, I kind of thought it was going to be more dramatic, but I really liked it, how it was just kind of casual of like, her just showing up, take your shoes off, please. Even mixing in the humor of, are you going to apologize? No. Are you going to apologize? It's like with all of their relationship battles and hardships, it's like it still kind of brings it all back around to like this is still kind of like couple behavior. Like, no, I'm not sorry. You should be sorry. And it just, that was funny to me how they kind of touched base on like your typical problems that they would still have. But what did we think about when they came together?
Did anyone else notice that they always seem to like be in Eve's kitchen? Like when they like reunite,
sharp knives, right?
It's always so interesting. But I actually loved it when she was walking in and she asked her to take off her shoes, and it was that whole like awkwardness. Like, are you serious right now? Like, and I thought it was going to be more dramatic, but the sexual tension between them was intense. Like you could still feel it, even though there wasn't much going on. Like the fact of how close they were, and would
just
you do
the like long stares?
Yeah, and the way
other.
they repeat everything that they said. Like, do you still think about it? I think about it all the time. And like, there's
do you want to
little...
frisk me? That she says when she walks in.
Yeah.
And then we notice that Eve takes off her protective. What was she wearing? It was the bulletproof vest. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of.
And she put her hair down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was like, I'm wondering, is she nervous because she could kill her, or is she nervous like the way you would get before going on a date? Or do we think the main nervousness came from?
Yeah.
Which she said she wasn't, but obviously seeing her prep in the mirror, she wanted to look good.
She did, obviously. And everyone's like telling Eve, be careful. And then Eve's totally not listening to anybody else and just being crazy and just trusting that Villanelle is just going to be fine. I'm
and
like,
what do we think of the banter back and forth with, you should be afraid after what you did to me? Are you afraid? Are you afraid? What do we think of all that?
Well, not so much the banter, but if she actually paid Constantine to hire Villanelle to kill her, then that's what would lead me to believe that she might actually try to kill me. And so she could have been fearful, I think, because that was the pretext that she did. She used to get her there, which I was like, can't Carolyn just call Constantine? But apparently that would be too easy.
Yeah, leave it to TV to never go the easy route.
I know. I was like, why did she go through all that? Like, she could have sent her a note, like she could have done something. I thought some other sort of subterfuge, less dangerous route. But yeah, so it was interesting. I didn't really think, once she got there, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really think there wasn't sort of that tension, like, oh, I'm going to kill you. So, so I don't think that I was really worried about that once she actually got there. But the whole, the hiring the hit on Eve that led up to that, I think there was a moment where she was contemplating really killing Eve for sure.
Well, I think what's beautiful in the most twisted way is that there is that underlying trust. Eve knew that she could do something like that because she knew Villanelle wouldn't do that. And
even she said it.
Yeah, saying like, I could have taken you out with a car, or done all these drastic things where we never even had to come face to face to kill you. Eve knew that she wouldn't do that. And I think there's this weird vulnerable side to Villanelle when she's like, okay, you're right, I guess I wouldn't do that. And even when she took the pills in front of Villanelle, that to me was her saying, I trust you, and that's why I'm going to do this in front of you, because I'm showing you in this act of me taking it, this is me saying, I trust you. Even taking off the
bulletproof
vest.
Yeah.
Even taking that off is the ultimate sign that she
Right.
feels safe with her. She might be the worst person to feel safe with, but something about her, there's that comfort. And I think it speaks a lot for just their characters in general, that we as the viewer see that chemistry between them, or they're not even saying anything, but we're picking up on those long stares, and obviously the music and all that helps, but it's these two characters do have this connection that can't really be explained, and that I think that comes across really well.
Yeah, because even Villanelle was like, you want to search me? And Eve was like, no, there's no need to. So I was like, that's also the trust between the two, that yes, a serial killer comes into your home dressed in a veil, like all in black, saying like, okay, I'm in mourning, and you're like, just be like, yeah, just come on in, let's have some.
Well, yeah, because I also feel, too, like, she said, like, what's the point? Because if she really wanted to kill her, like, she's so skilled, you know what I mean? She doesn't have to carry anything. She could easily use something in her house, like, a million different ways. So, it's like, yeah, why bother?
I feel like we are Taylor Swifting this episode, where everyone finds the, what do they call them, the Easter eggs in her music video. I feel like we're, like, the more I'm thinking about things, because even with the veil, my initial thought was till death do us part. And I'm like, are they trying to play on, are they going to kill each other? Who's going to go for it first? Which, even though I just said I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, I think that was still really kind of creative how they tied that all together.
Right.
And then we touched on this a little bit ago. Eve is showing us this much darker side. What was that with the guy in the train? Like, what was that?
That
like,
was insane.
That was showing psychopathic behavior because that guy had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
So was she thinking about, like, I think she almost wanted, like, the rush and the energy. I think that, like, high is now really exciting to her.
Yeah.
And like we said, she's bored in her normal life. She wants Nico out of the house.
Yeah.
She's over it. And I think anything, it's like now she's like an adrenaline junkie for
Anything that like
psychopathic
yeah.
behavior.
Yeah, that was insane. At first, I didn't know because she kind of stood there with her jacket, and at first I was like, did he give her something or take something from her? That's what I first thought because it's like a quick like tap. So I was like, oh, like he either felt something, but then when I saw her stand behind him and think about pushing him, I was like, oh, so this is what it's all about.
Going psycho on us.
Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, so you're not okay. You're definitely not.
So we should talk about it.
I mean, she's not okay, although I will say it is very offensive when people randomly shove you.
Especially when a train is coming.
Yeah.
And you're closer to the edge. Because it was kind of like, wait, why are you pushing me? So, you know, it was interesting. So then she realized, okay, he's not with Villanelle. He's not here to, you know, harm me. But it is still sort of like an irritating thing to do.
Yeah.
So don't do that would be our recommendation for people on platforms, because you could, you know what I mean, because she had to hold back, because there was a moment where I was like, just push him, girl, he was rude anyway, push him, but she held back.
If you guys learn anything from this show, don't push on platforms.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, because it's rude and you could get pushed back. That's really all we're saying. So, yeah.
Very
Do we
dangerous.
think we're going to see more of these little signs from Eve that she's developing to the darker side?
Oh, definitely. I think that's definitely where they're trying to go, especially with when they got the ghosts and Villanelle asked her if she wanted to watch, which I was surprised that Eve didn't. But I was like, eventually I feel like it's going to be...
Leave it to Delia with that perfect transition. That's kind of what I wanted to touch on too, as well as one of like the main points of this episode was now we see them working together.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of exciting. These are going to be these like power, forceful women, and there's no way they can have a trusting bond being this team of really accomplishing what they want if Eve is not thinking the same way Villanelle is. She has to like meet her in that messed up headspace to get the job done. So I don't see how Eve can do both. I don't see how she could be one person and be working with, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she's going to have to be that evil person.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused with that quick shot of Carolyn and Constantine, because they saw them both get in the car together and they were pleased. It wasn't like they were questioning. They both had kind of planned it.
Yeah, I'm thinking Carolyn is not this sweet
No,
angel.
she's
working for
not.
the bad guys.
Definitely not. But yeah, so I'm just like, I don't know what she's trying to make either Villanelle become or Eve become, but it's part of a bigger scope that we haven't been introduced.
It's almost like they're the little puppets, right? They're kind of
Yeah.
just like tugging them along exactly how they want. And it seems like Eve and Villanelle are doing exactly what they want so far.
Because even when she said about when the guy was telling her about how Eve isn't okay and her obsession with Villanelle in the library scene, she wasn't surprised or anything. It was almost like just being reaffirmed by what she knew. It wasn't like, this is not new information for me. She was just kind of like very dismissive of all of it. And I was like, if that was my employee who I'm trying to get her to figure out what's going on,
That's a good point.
I would be like, all right, you're off the case. Like, we're going to bring someone else in. But the fact that she's just like, oh, you know, don't worry about it. Let me just give you some Wizard of Oz facts.
Right.
They're like, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
that's a really good point. Actually, she's not surprised at all by that because she's been noticing this whole time, and turns out this is probably
Or
what
is she planning
she
it?
wants to happen this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that surprised by it because consistently, I mean, at some point, I think maybe in the first season or whatever, but Carolyn had slept with Constantine.
Yeah.
So they've always been working together, which is kind of why I was like, she could have just called him. Because this whole, like, oh, I'm on the run. And I think, I'm not sure if it was last season or this season, but Villanelle did say to Eve, you know, in one of their meetings, like, you'll find out that we're probably working for the same person. And at the end of the day, the lines are never clear. It's always gray with what Carolyn is really doing, and they're not the regular police. So clearly they have sort of means to do things that are sort of outside of the law, obviously. And, you know, so you don't know. Maybe she is working with Constantine now. We don't really know.
Yeah.
And then we also see Eve still struggling with, she is going over to the dark side as we've talked about before, but she's still not wanting to hurt the other girl. She still doesn't want to inflict pain the way it's very easy for Villanelle to do. And she's actually upset with Villanelle, saying, what did you do to her? And it obviously causes a little bit of tension with them. So how do we feel about that one? I mean, she's going to need to kind of toughen up if she wants to do this.
Which is interesting because with the guy at the platform, she was so quick to act. So I think she just needs to be triggered. I don't think she wasn't triggered in that moment. Because she was just like trying to get information out of her.
She's like a dark girl in training.
Yeah, she was just like,
not there yet.
Villanelle's always ready to go. And I don't know what her past is that allows her just to kill and like what she's gone through. But because we know Villanelle has a very dark past. So I don't think enough bad stuff has happened to Eve that she's crossed that line yet. But I'm pretty sure she's about to cross.
She's almost there.
Like when her partner died, that she wanted to kill Villanelle. That was a huge... when she saw Villanelle killing her partner, she was willing to do anything to kill Villanelle and get revenge. So I think when she's really, really triggered, then that's when it's like, okay.
When it's enough for her to really act on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe she was a little irritated. I don't think she was really upset because if you send Villanelle in there and it's like a locked box or whatever, like I don't know what they prep Villanelle with, but clearly you want her to do whatever it takes to get the information that you want. So, I think she, in her mind, had to expect that theoretically Villanelle could have killed her. That's why she put her in there.
Kind of like Eve wants her cake and eat it. She wants to have the cake and eat it too, where she's telling her to do one thing, but she also doesn't really want her to do the other thing. And then you see Villanelle just having fun with it the whole time, where she's like, hey, you want to watch? Like, it's just playing a game here. It's not like anything to do with actually hurting people. And then I think Eve still has that human side to her where she's like, what are you gonna do? And it's
to some extent, but she put her in there and the girl was handcuffed. So theoretically
she knew that was possible.
What did you expect, really? Yeah. So the fact that, it was a surprise that she wasn't dead.
What do we think she did to her?
I don't know. In Villanelle fashion, it's probably something amazingly well done. I don't know, because she always has like such a sass way of killing people. It's never just
like I'm nervous at all.
No, it's,
I thought she must have because the woman must know who Villanelle is because they work for similar people or whatever. So I assume she must have threatened her children with whatever it is that she really does, and when she really enjoys killing people, and then that would be enough, I would think.
That was a good point about her whole family is associated. When we said this in the last episode, that most of the killers we see, we don't think about their whole family. So that's another thing that they could really go after. I wonder if we'll see that more of the family in it at all, or...
Well, yeah, because it's like she was fine and she could talk and she looked okay. So clearly she had to, I'm sure she didn't just threaten to kill her. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it would have been interesting had they given us a little bit of an idea of what she actually said to her to get her to
And
with
that line calling her a monster, was she calling Eve or Villanelle the monster?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe both.
I almost feel like it was for Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't really make sense because she's the one that didn't really do much. But
did she?
I think that's the thing. I think in that instance, it was well written the way they did it, but I think it absolutely was for Eve because she was in Eve's custody, and basically Eve found this box in the woods and set Villanelle on her. So that would have to, that person would be a monster that would do that because she knows what Villanelle does. Just the way
and Villanelle will do anything for Eve.
Yeah.
So if you ask Villanelle to kill your cousin Joe, she's gonna do it.
Or she would do it anyway because she enjoys killing. So if you put her in a room and the person is chained and stuff, then it's like
defenseless.
You have to be a monster to do that.
So with only 3 episodes left, I'm wondering if we're gonna kind of see it be a sped up process of Eve getting to that point, or because we saw a little bit of the tension between how Eve handled it versus Villanelle handling it, and she's still not fully on board with the harm so fast. Like, she was definitely struggling with that. I wonder if we'll see more of that, which could cause a little bit tension in the partnership. I'm wondering if it'll be smooth sailing or if they're going to constantly be back and forth on how they would handle situations.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think they both know each other well enough. I think that Villanelle understands Eve, and that's like their weird relationship, that even though she knows that Eve can be weak at times, and so can Villanelle, they both understand each other's strengths and weaknesses.
And now we're mixing business and pleasure. Yeah,
right.
doesn't always end well.
I know, but I'm very excited
this is
to
the
see.
ultimate mix. I'm excited to see it too, and especially with the creativity with the writers. I think they know just enough to give us, and I have a feeling that we already know they're renewed for season 3. So I have a feeling we are going to be left with the biggest cliffhanger of all time for the ending episode.
For sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think Villanelle is such a dark person to even be in a relationship with. So I think to see if they develop some sort of friendship and how that grows will be interesting.
So dark, but yeah, we love her.
We love it. We love him
her
so
so
much.
much.
She's mean, but we
She's
love
so
it.
fun. And then even in the episode when I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when she's with Nico at the end, she's like, "Oh, that hurts." Like, she's a psychopath. She does these things, and I think this is just so fun for her.
It
like,
is.
she's just like, he's her little mouse in the trap, and she's just like the cat dangling him along and having so much fun and loving to watch him squirm while throwing out amazing insults all at the same time. Only in Villanelle fashion can she pull that off.
Of course.
Well, thank you guys for all your input and all of our ideas and theories, and I'm excited to see who's right and who's wrong.
So it was
let's
nice to see Nico have a little fire.
Yeah,
we
that
didn't
was
think it was
actually-
in you.
I know.
That's
And
what
I mean, she
said.
even said that, yeah.
Because he's been like such a snooze, so it's good to see him.
Fire him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again. And now we have our special segment. The anticipation's been building. Is it good or bad, guys? What do you think?
All right, you guys. So we're back on.
It's like story time. We can
Yeah.
We're back on female assassins. So that is a picture of Ideoa Lopez Riano, aka also known as the Tigress. She is a former high-ranking commando for the violent Basque separatist organization called ETA. And so basically she's credited, and Basque is sort of a portion of Spain where for a long time, and even until I want to say recently, the past few years, they always wanted to be a separate country from Spain. So, and this has been going on for many years, but back in the 80s, she is credited, the Tigress, La Tigresa, is credited with the assassination of 23 people in Spain during a particularly volatile period of their Basque independence campaign.
Wow.
She's responsible for the Madrid explosion that killed 12 civil guards in 1986. And she's also been accountable for sporadic acts of violence, including gunning down individual police officers and soldiers. And then also she's been known, because they always talk about her sexual prowess as well. So basically, like, she would sleep with sort of the police officers and stuff and then like murder their comrades.
Whoa.
So yeah, so she wouldn't actually murder the person she was sleeping with, but she like might murder his supervisor or something.
Whoa, she's got a strategy.
Exactly.
That's some Game of Thrones stuff right there.
Exactly. She was eventually brought to justice, and she was caught hiding in France and Algiers actually in 1990. I think it was 94. Actually, she was caught. She was sentenced to 2,000 years in prison.
Wow.
Which is an extreme sentence, but it was sort of symbolic for how violent they thought she was. And at the time that she was sentenced, she was only, pursuant to Spanish law, you were only allowed to serve 30 years maximum, no matter what you did anyway. So regardless of all this, she actually served 23 years, and one for each person that she murdered, and was released in 2017. Ooh. So she is out and about kicking it now.
Ooh, but watch out, guys.
But although I will say this, while in prison, they had this sort of reform for ETA members. So if you face the people, you face the families of your victims and you renounced violence and stuff, that kind of worked to help you parole early as well. So she has renounced violence, and since she renounced violence in the ETA, they actually, I think, kicked her off their membership anyway. So supposedly she's nice and sweet now. I don't know, you guys.
Like, I also really don't want to run into her
it's
on
like
the street.
exactly. I'm like going to Spain. Let's avoid La Tigresa. Let's just avoid her.
I feel like she'd be a great person to sit down and have a great Spanish tapas with.
I feel like
I would meet her.
You're like Eve. You're like Eve. I'm like warning you, be careful. And you're like, no, it's going to be fine.
It's fine. She does
totally
not do bombs anymore. I mean, come on. And if she sleeps with me, then that means she's going to kill somebody else.
We all have a past.
So, yes.
Yes.
And I have to say, it is kind of cool to have like a name associated with it.
I know,
like, kind of
the tigress,
nickname.
the she
not
tiger.
like there's anything
yes.
okay with that, but it's kind of
La
awesome to have a name if
Tigresa.
you're gonna
be that person.
I know you, Delia, have some news for us.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So Jodie Comer, who plays Villanelle, she has had a ton of interviews where she says that she's had a lot of weird experiences with males at airports, just being fans and trying to like chase her down in the middle of the night, just waiting on her to sign things. And she even had
Not
a
creepy. It's
no,
fine.
totally creepy. This is totally creepy, guys. Do not do this to anyone.
There's like a line between being a fan
Yeah.
and now you're actually stalking them and they're scared.
And the
so
fact
please
that she
stop.
plays a psychopath also is probably what's drawing a lot of these weirdos out. But she even also had a fan once ask her to strangle her. That was one of the weirdest things. And I can just imagine how strange that would be to be like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
You can't talk. I'll sign your paper, but I'm not going to strangle
No, but
you.
I think it was like at 2 a.m. and she was at the airport and there was all these people who just men just following her
gosh.
around. And she says that because of playing Villanelle, she unfortunately has a zero love life at the moment.
So she's
But-
getting attention, just not at
Not
all
the
the kind
kind
she
she
wants.
wants.
Sounds about right.
but I can just imagine, just because people do see her as the character. And so, yeah, I can see that being a little bit tough right now. But
And just like friendly reminder to everyone who is a fan of the show, let's also respect them so we can
yes.
have another season.
And what's up with like people loving serial killers or psychopaths?
whole
It's that
taboo of-
whole
Don't press this button and wanting to press the button.
like with
That darkness is sexy. I mean,
It really is. It's what we all want what we can't have, and
Yeah.
it's sick and annoying. And I wish we could
exactly.
change
I
it.
wouldn't kill anyone. However, I love Dexter. I don't know.
Dexter
Oh,
That's-
gosh.
It's
Yeah.
just one of those things.
Let's just everyone stay safe and have that fine line of like
find a balance.
Yeah, let's find a balance. I'm really worried for
exactly. Stay safe, everybody.
Yes.
But don't shove me on a platform. But stay safe. Stay safe.
Speaking of staying safe, that's not what I think is going to happen as far as our predictions of what's going to happen. 3 episodes left, guys.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I always feel like it's Halloween every time
I
we hear that.
know. Prediction.
Okay, so we're taking it one episode at a time. So for the next one, what do we think is going to happen?
So I honestly think that because I saw Villanelle and Eve working together, I do think that something's going to trigger them to go against Constantine and Carolyn.
Ooh.
Like something might lead them to eventually join forces to
I like that.
work against their
'Cause
bosses.
I don't think Eve and Villanelle are the type they're both really stubborn. They're not
Yeah.
the type to want to be controlled. So I think as soon as they find out what's happening,
Right.
that's not
Yeah.
gonna go over well.
Exactly.
Right. I still think that Nico is like a plant or is going to turn evil, especially when she was like mustache on fudge. I was like, is that mustache even real? I think
Whoa. So you think he might be some
so. I do feel like, and he pulled her up kind of hard. So I do feel like Nico might. I think we're going to see some shadiness from Nico. I think we're going to see some shadiness, some betrayal, at least some, at a minimum, some rough patches in his relationship with Eve. If not, he might be working for somebody.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Eve is going to be upset? Because obviously Nico's not going to keep his mouth shut. I would imagine that he would confront Eve about what he's learned. He didn't know about the stabbing. He didn't know she went to go see her. Villanelle did not spare the details of her getting into bed, clearly trying to mess with Nico's mind. And it worked, clearly. We saw that rage come out in him. So wouldn't you think that Eve would be a little upset with Villanelle trying to tamper with her perfect image life that she still wants to keep for now?
I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal.
You don't?
'Cause I think she kind of spins whatever. So Nico will confront her and she'll be like, it's my job. And he'll like go for it like he always does, I think. I mean, she is pretty good at spinning Nico any way she wants. So
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that alone. I think if Nico uses that to then go cheat with the little other coworkers or whatever, that would do something. But, I think she'll be able to get out of that.
I almost think Nico's not going to tell her.
Yeah.
I almost think it's going to be like, he's probably going to like ask around it, but like see if she
would say
yeah.
it, which she won't.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I really do like Erika's theory with that, where maybe Nico, we've seen him as, kind of the pushover in the relationship. Maybe that's the whole plan this whole time, to
Right.
think that he's a pushover, just to leave us hanging at the end and not be a pushover.
yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen. The only thing I really had was, I definitely think that the team of Constantine and Carolyn is going to be, it's going to blow up. That's going to be a really big thing. And I think they're going to keep us on our toes with showing us bits and pieces. And we're seeing the darker sides of each character developing. No one's getting better. We're seeing all of even who we thought were the good characters slowly unravel the layers of maybe this is who they always were the whole time. So now we're even seeing that the two opposing teams, so we thought could be working together and have this whole other plan that now I can't even keep straight of all the directions this could possibly go in.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's a cliffhanger, because I don't think 3 episodes is going to tie it all
it's a
up.
lot.
And
It's a lot.
We know there's a 3rd season, so it has to go somewhere.
Definitely.
Very true.
It's a lot of question marks that still need to be answered.
And then, I think the only other thing that I was really curious about what Nico's now path is going to look like. And I'm excited for that too. And now I can't stop thinking about his mustache and the fudge.
I know
comment.
that
That's such a
mustache
good
on fudge is so
I'm just
true.
like curious of the writing process behind that. Like, who's like, this line will be a good one. And I wonder what that'd be really fun too. I actually did try and talk to a writer, but it's very difficult. So if anyone out there has connections, we would love to kind of pick their brains. And, maybe for season 3, we could get a writer on. And
that
I
would
would
be
love
great.
to see what the process of each episode is like, and the tug and pull of what keeps the episodes. I like how they show the deleted scenes on commercials, because that is really fun to see what makes the cut and what doesn't.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I agree.
And before we go, I do want to say we all had the same theme of denim, and we didn't even talk about it. But normally you guys match and I don't. So for once, all 3 of us can be in sync.
Yay.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Don't go too hard on tequila. I am Haley J. You can find me at HayJ_, HAYJ_ on Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm Delia Gomez. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at It's Delia Gomez.
And I'm Erika Edwards. You can follow me on all my social media at Erika, ERIKA, as in door, Edwards.
Bye-bye.
Ciao for now, folks.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.